Welcome to My Chinese Business, podcast number 4. I am very happy with how things are going. We've done 3 amazing podcasts, and this one I'm pretty confident, will be very informative. It's going to be a little bit shorter than the last one. The last one was kind of monstrous there, but I feel a lot of information was given, a lot of good information. I would like to say, though, there was a little bit, slide 6 and 7, I believe, didn't really talk about them, kind of combined them as one in the explanation. But if anyone has questions about that, contact me, email me, make a little comment below, and I'll answer. If there's enough people, I could do another post just on slide number 6. But for the most part, I felt pretty good with that last one. Okay, so let's move on to today. So today I'm thinking back to when I first arrived in Beijing and some of the things I experienced. Now, the people that will benefit the most from this maybe are people that first time in Beijing, first time in China, or just traveling for a couple days there, a week or two, and maybe just want some ideas of, what to expect when they arrive. So let's begin. So first, I'd like to talk about some of the things I ate when I first arrived there. Now, you have to be pretty open-minded. There's a saying that anything that runs, breathes, or walks, you can eat in China, or they eat it. In fact, many of the Chinese friends I have, I told them about the TV show Fear Factor, and they said that would never work there. Because in America, some of the stuff that we consider very gross to eat, they would sit there and go, oh, he doesn't know how to prepare them. My mom makes them much better than that. So in the first 2 weeks I was in Beijing, some of the stuff I had tried, I ate snake, scorpion, the black ones, the big ones and little ones, silkworms, cow lung, duck brains, seashells, grasshoppers, little pineapple rice bowl, some kelp, some other stuff. In fact, I have a story about duck heads. A couple months later, I believe I had been there about 4 months, and it was the first girl I had helped in her application process to go to a university in the States. She got accepted, but the hard part, or one of the hard parts, is getting the visa to go. Some people, when they go to the U.S. Embassy, they do get turned away. And so I helped prepare her by asking her some questions, things like that, and she got a visa. And she came back, and she was very happy. And she asked if she could treat me to dinner. I said fine, it was no big deal. We went to a restaurant, and she said that she'd like to order the specialty, and if that was okay with me. I actually was pretty hesitant because I figured it'd be kind of expensive, which it was. But I said fine, no problem. But if you want, let's do AAG, AAGer, as they always say. You pay your share, I pay my share. We split it in half. And she wouldn't agree to this, but it was okay. We still had dinner. And to my surprise, the waiter showed up about 20 minutes after we ordered and uncovered this plate. And on the plate was 12 duck heads. That was it. No necks, no bodies, nothing. Just 12 duck heads. I tried to be the best I could. I had about 1.5 duck heads, eyes, brains, cheek, tongue, everything possible. And then on the second one, I just told her, I'm sorry, I can't continue, I can't do this. I'm sorry. And she just sat there with half of a duck's beak broken open in her mouth going, huh? Well, why not? I said, I'm sorry. I kept apologizing. So she ended up taking 6 duck heads home with her. She finished a couple, minus those and minus the ones I tried to eat. So she had, duck head the next day. So that was a good story. Other weird things I'd had while I was there. was dog, actually. I had dog on 3 occasions. The first one was accidental. The second, well, when I mean accidental, I mean I was with a group of people. Everyone ordered a couple dishes. I had the meat. I thought it was deer. It did taste a little different. Tastes similar to deer, actually. And then I asked them what this is. They said, "Go." I was like, "What? Eat your go?" Like, a dog. I was like, "Oh, this is a dog. Oh, dog meat." But it was actually pretty good. It turns out it's more common in the north of China. South doesn't really eat dog. Most people, it's kind of a delicacy. It's a very expensive meat. It's actually pretty good. Um, and then the third time, I was treated to dinner for helping out, and the second time, so I was kind of obligated to eat it, but it's not too bad. Donkey, I had donkey a lot there. They have these donkey burritos, which is amazing. If you have the opportunity, get it. It's just shredded donkey meat, and that's a very good source of protein. A lot of the people at the gym, that's how they get their protein because protein powder is extremely expensive there. I'll go into importing costs later on about that, but the donkey meat is amazing. Okay, some of the weird things though was KFC and McDonald's. They have those all over the place, and it's considered kind of a delicacy there, and it's understandable. I mean, a little hamburger there, 10 renminbi. That same price, you can get a huge bowl of noodles or gai fan, which is something on top of rice. So you could get tudo nuro gai fan for maybe 13 renminbi, which is cut up potatoes, cut up beef on top of rice, or you get, a tiny little burger. So it is kind of a delicacy. And then KFC is actually really, really popular there. I was amazed because I hadn't had KFC in years in the States, and I go into China and I found them almost everywhere. And actually, I started really liking KFC. Not so much for the food, but because they have clean bathrooms there, and they have bathrooms, where a lot of places don't have bathrooms there. And they do have bathrooms, they definitely don't have soap or toilet paper. And yet KFC and McDonald's and the fast food chains that are there from the States have both of these. So if you're traveling there and you need to use a restroom, I highly recommend you find a fast food place. Next. Okay, here's a little story. I went to a market, and the people there were selling amazing jewelry, and they were bargaining. In fact, bargaining was an amazing part of it. There was a lady there that had a Chairman Mao bag, and I was looking at it, which is my first mistake. Because as soon as you notice something, or they notice you looking at something, they try to make an offer. So the lady started with 350 renminbi, $50. I thought this was extremely expensive, and to be honest, I didn't want it that much. I kept telling her I didn't want it, I didn't want it, I didn't want it. Eventually, she lowered the price all the way down to 30 renminbi. I felt I was stealing this from her. Really, I did. I felt bad. And I kept thinking, man, this lady must be desperate for money. I mean, maybe she has nothing. Maybe she bought this bag for, 50, 100 renminbi a while ago, and now she just wants enough money to, eat a meal with her kids. I was feeling bad. So I ended up buying it for 30 renminbi. And to be honest, I didn't really even want it. But, I'm happy I did. The moment after I bought it, she turned to my friend and she said, "If you want it, I'll sell it to you for 20 renminbi." And he smiled and then bought one. Well, this bag later on I found some stores had it listed for 15 renminbi, which means you can bargain it down at those places, for 8 or 10 renminbi. And to be honest, I bet they bought it for 2 to 4 renminbi. Yeah, isn't that kind of amazing? Buying a bag for 20 cents? Because that's really what it costs them to produce, and they still have a profit margin there. I'll go into the whole supply chain later on in another podcast and about how prices from manufacturer to the store in the States gets its price. I was pretty amazed when I started making t-shirts there, and I was getting them for pretty much next to nothing. Okay, and a third story I'd like to share. I met a couple of Chinese people, and they wanted to practice their English. And the first thing they wanted, though, was English names. I mean, don't get me wrong, they had studied for years, about 8 to 10 years in the school, but me and my buddy at the time, we were the first foreigners they'd have ever actually talked to. And they didn't have English names yet. So we're talking, and my buddy started making up some pretty ridiculous names. So one guy, he gave the name Gunjack. Another, he gave the name Panther. The final one, the best one, he gave the name Chainsaw. And this guy was ridiculously happy with the name Chainsaw, especially when he found out what it meant. And the thing was, is we were joking with him about how one day he's going to go to a business, presentation and introduce himself right before he gives PowerPoint. Say, hello, my name is Chainsaw. And then start the presentation. We also gave them real common English names, Jack, Ben, Matt, I forget exactly. But it was these odd names that stood out. And to be honest, they're not that uncommon if they were translated into Chinese. Many of my Chinese friends there have names such as, Big Mountain, that's a famous Canadian name. A Canadian that's there that teaches English to everyone and does Chinese comedy. But names like Iron Rock or Boy Who Likes Sword or many hippie type names that we would consider them in the States. But those are common names there. Hammer, Fierce Dog, things like that. Names that we'd consider just ridiculous. But to them, our names like Matt, Steve, Bob, Phil, those are impossible to remember. So, I mean, with many people, they can't remember my English name, Sean, but they can remember my Chinese name extremely easy. But when I ask for their Chinese name, I can't remember, so I can only remember their English name. And it's pretty funny how that works. Because when you are learning a new language, you have to remember every new name is a new word for you. I mean, really, it is. So that was it for this podcast. I know what you're saying. It's pretty short, especially compared to last ones. But I just wanted to get some more information in. And I'll have another podcast up in the next 2 days. And this next one is going to talk about learning English in China, the Chinese people that want to learn, and scams against foreigners. So it is kind of important, and these things really happen, and it's very insightful, and it will help people that plan on traveling there or living there for things to watch out for at first. I mean, once you're there a while, you'll know that this is coming. So, hope you enjoyed this, hope you enjoyed the stories, and I'll talk to you soon.